Welcome to the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff Behind the Badge podcast with Sheriff John D.B. Carr. I'm your host, Taylor Thomas, Public Information Officer for the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff. Sheriff Carr, I'm excited. It's July. We're getting through the summer.
Yes, moving forward.
How we doing?
Doing very well, So several of our youth programs are already running and up, and the kids are enjoying themselves, having a very good time. And as we start to transition and getting ready to go back to schools in August and getting ready for our fall programs, I'm looking forward to what we have coming in the end of this year.
You know, we have been doing this podcast now for a couple of months, but I don't think we ever stopped to talk about the bureaus at the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff. Can we just talk about the titles and what those actual bureaus do?
Yeah, so we've actually increased our bureaus coming into office. I actually created a bureau for our professional accountability. Really wanted to focus on law enforcement reform and give the citizens the ability to actually interact with our agency much better and more than what they have been. And creating that bureau actually focuses on internal affairs, any complaints, also focuses on our auditing process, making sure that we do what we say we do. We also have in that bureau our CALEA section, which is a third-party review of our policies and procedures, and they make sure that we have best practices or we implement best practices in our agencies. We have our Bureau of Field Operations, which consists of warrants, child support, domestic violence, landlord-tenant. Actually created another division, which is our behavioral health unit, focusing on those mental health crises that we have throughout the county. So that is our Bureau of Field Operations, and that's typically what people see on the street each and every day as they focus on domestic violence, child support, warrants. Those are the interactions that you most likely are going to see with our citizens here in the county. Then we have our Bureau of Court Services, in which you see the deputies inside of the courtrooms. We focus on security for the judges and the courthouse in Upper Marlboro and also in Hyattsville, which is District Court. Hyattsville, there's a focus on our domestic violence section there, really for the northern part of the county. In Upper Marlboro, it's going to be for the central and southern region of the county. We are responsible for security of the circuit court portion of that, in which we deal with a lot of our trials, criminal trials, felonies in circuit court. We also are responsible for those who are in custody in the district court side. We also have transportation that's also in our Bureau of Court Services, in which we take those individuals who are in custody, we transport them throughout the county and also throughout the state to make sure that they are able to go and either go to a court case, whether it be Anne Arundel, Calvert, Charles, whatever, throughout the state, but also any appointments such as funerals and stuff like that. We really focus and we deal with that in our transportation section. And then we have our wonderful Bureau of Administration. Our Bureau of Administration really focuses on bringing people in, recruitment, personnel. We also have our wonderful section in which we engage in budget and finance, and everybody wants to talk about money.
Yes.
So our budget and finance does a wonderful job in making sure that we are able to reach out for grants. We're also making sure that we are fiscally responsible to our citizens.
You know, you talked about the agency and how you can go information and Bureau of Accountability. What is the process? Because you talk about transparency. You let residents know what you do. Everyone knows your process. It's upfront. What is the process for someone if there is a complaint? I know you can go to the website. Is it a quick step? Is it several things you have to go through?
No, it's a quick step. And one thing that has changed is that once we put it on the website, you're actually able to make a complaint. You don't have to give your name. You could do it anonymously. Once you give that complaint, you will actually have that investigator to investigate it immediately. If you leave your name, we do like to make sure that we get in contact with you in less than 5 days or contact you immediately, and then we'll start our investigation. We'll get that information from you. If you do go to the website, pgsheriff.com, you're able to go through the process and the steps right then and there. You no longer have to actually get it notarized. You're actually able to actually file your complaint, and it does not have to be notarized.
Okay, that's a big deal. Okay, so I know that you talk heavily about domestic violence, and we have a division. So, what are some of the resources that you provide to the community as it pertains to, we just got off finishing, having a DV conference last month. So what are some of the services that they can go to the website and find and get additional information on?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is our special victim advocates.
Okay.
They do a wonderful job. They're the ones who actually do the follow-up in reference to our domestic violence cases. They actually will go to court with you and be in the courtroom to make sure that you're getting the resources that you need. They also refer you to other nonprofit organizations. So if you need a place to stay, if you need to legal counsel as far as the House of Roof, or if you need any type of assistance, they're able to assist you with that. And they follow you through that whole court case, because we understand that that trauma does not stop the first time that you go into that courtroom. That's going to continue with you throughout your whole life.
And is that something specialized? Is there any other agency that's dealing with DV the way that the sheriff office is dealing with DV?
I think we're a little bit more specialized only because we're dealing with those court orders.
Okay.
And when we look at our special victim advocates, you're talking about individuals who day in and day out, they're processing these orders, and once they're processing the orders, they're getting to understand, one, the root cause of the domestic incident, two, exactly who's involved in that. So if you have a husband and wife, they may have kids that are involved. Well, who's really focusing on the kids and making sure the kids get those resources that they may need? So having somebody present and having somebody there and trained that can actually help not only just deal with the parties involved, but also deal with family members, kids, children, whatever it may be, is important and vital. And I think they do a wonderful job of doing that follow through, talking those survivors of domestic violence, letting them know that they're not alone. We have one of our SVAs, Ms. Bobby Harvard, who does a wonderful job in a program called SIT, in which this ran out of our Family Justice Center located in Upper Marlboro, in which you have those survivors of domestic violence actually sit down, and it's like a talk group. They talk about what they've went through. They talk about what they would like to see coming from county organizations or just nonprofits. They talk about where they are currently right now, because again, that trauma doesn't stop. And that program seems to be very successful as it's grown. And we have several sessions that she conducts and that she does. Family Justice Center does a wonderful job as well as making sure that the resources are present. We're trying to make sure we have just a one-stop shop, where if you go, you don't have to keep repeating yourself and going and being traumatized again by telling 4 or 5 different people the same story over and over and over again, and you're reliving that as you tell the different entities or the agencies. So we want to make sure that we put our citizens at ease and we provide them with those resources and help.
Okay, the big one here. I heard that you're hiring. That's what everyone asks me. Are you hiring? What are you hiring, and what's the process?
Yes, we are hiring.
Okay.
We are hiring. And we had a huge focus on both civilian positions, in which we were looking for dispatchers in our teletype section. We were also looking for administrative jobs, such as our administrative aid 1-2s. But we have several different vacancies. In our civilian sections, we are expanding. So if you are interested in working in an administrative position at the Sheriff's Office, please apply. If you don't see it on the website, just call and inquire, and we can actually tell you when that announcement may actually come out. But we have several vacancies dealing with administration and administrative jobs. So if you are interested, please do so. And we're always hiring for deputy sheriffs. Always hiring for deputy sheriffs. So you always see that there. We're looking for experienced law enforcement officers, and we're looking for those who have no experience whatsoever and just want to actually start a rewarding profession. And this is something about community. If you want to make a change and a difference, you like to communicate and talk with people, and you really want to help and be a part of something great in a family, please apply to the Prince George's County Sheriff's Office via our website, pgsheriff.com. All
right, they're hiring. We're hiring. All right, coming up next, it's Crime Solvers. Find out how you can help make our community safer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with PGSO Behind the Badge with Sheriff John D.B. Carr.
Diversity is in our nature. It is in nature, too. Biodiversity. It connects us and sustains us. But nature's biodiversity is at risk more than ever before, and the future of all life is in our hands. So what will you do? Love it or lose it?
For all of life's poison risks, there's Poison Help. Poison Help is a free 24/7 hotline
Hello, Poison Help?
that answers all of your poison questions at home,
I might have taken too much medication.
at work,
I think I've breathed in chemical fumes.
and on the go,
They ate a mushroom. What do I do?
with expert guidance and treatment advice in over 100 languages. When poison happens, we're here for you. Just call Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Going to cheerleading camp next to the abandoned insane asylum, it's like throwing the blood away.
50% of Americans like watching blood get spilled in horror movies, but only 3% donated. Now that's scary.
Welcome back to the PGSO Behind the Badge with Sheriff John D.B. Carr. I'm Taylor Thomas, Public Information Officer for the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff. And joining us now is Zell Windsor with Crime Solver. She's the coordinator for the Prince George's County Police Department. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I've heard your name. You've been here in this county doing a great work. So it's so nice to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Well, before we go to you, I know we took a quick break, Sheriff, and there were some other things I wanted to ask you really quick, which was really, really important on your list. Squatters, that seems to be a big issue in Prince George's County. What are we doing with that?
So we're working hand in hand with our Prince George's County Police Department, working also with our legislators.
Okay.
There was quite a big stir in the Annapolis in the previous legislative session dealing with squatters. We're starting to see more of that, where people would be, a house would be for sale, and you actually have somebody moving into that home and actually just starting to live there, and they're not paying rent. They have no obligation to the property. And a lot of times we're getting calls, and people think it's a landlord-tenant issue, and it is not. It is not a landlord-tenant issue. It is what they call a wrongful detainer.
Okay.
And that wrongful detainer basically means that this person has no legal rights to that property, and they need to be removed. So the legislation that just passed and is getting ready to take effect in the fall is that it will require the courts to expedite that order or expedite those hearings so that an order can be given within a certain period of time. They're trying to condense that down so that it wouldn't be months that an individual may live in these residences, that it would be a matter of days or weeks.
Okay.
So that is something that the
Big
Office of the
difference.
Sheriff will have to go out and execute these orders coming from the courts, expediting the removal of those squatters inside of the residence. And it's just like with our scams. You have individuals that will move into a vacant home,
Okay.
hoping that whether it's bank-owned or rather the homeowner who may be trying to sell the home would actually just pay them to leave. And we see that. They call it cash for keys. So basically, it is, I will pay you for, let's say, $4,000 just so you to vacate the home so I can then try to go move forward with the sale of that home. And
Sure,
that's becoming a
furniture
big
and
thing.
everything inside, they've literally moved in?
We've had a situation within weeks that individual unfortunately had to go down south because a family member was ill. They went down south to try to take care of that individual. Somebody actually moved into their residence while they were gone because it had been maybe a month or two. And unfortunately, when they came back, they came home and somebody else was present and there. They dialed 911. The police department came for a officer or a police officer to come to the residence and for somebody to present fake documents to say that, hey, they are renting or they are leasing this home. It's hard for them to make a determination. So rightfully so, they would then determine it and have advise that individual to go to the courts and do the landlord-tenant process. And then that's how we get into this whole process of a wrongful detainer and going back and forth with removing those individuals who are legally inside of someone's home.
We're going to keep up on that. So we have Zell, of course, Windsor with us with Crime Solvers. Both of us are looking bewildered at this possibility, but I guess as long as you've been in business, nothing surprises you what you hear from people,
and
right?
people have actually called Crime Solvers about the activity that goes on in some of the vacant houses and people squatting in them and stuff like that.
So we hear Crime Solvers all the time. Do you mind telling us what your mission is? How does it all work?
So I am a police department employee, but I am the liaison with the Prince George's County Crime Solvers. Prince George's County Crime Solvers is a nonprofit organization that offers a methods for people to provide anonymous information to law enforcement, sheriff's office, other law enforcement agencies in the region about wanted people, unsolved cases, the identity of people, and in doing so, if the information provided leads to an arrest, an indictment, then the person could be eligible for a cash reward.
And I just heard you said arrest and indictment. So it doesn't mean you give someone's name, the check's coming in the mail, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
And how long does that process, or could that process take, as far as arrest and indictment?
It's going to be based on the courts, but normally we try to have a 90-day turnaround.
Oh.
A 90-day turnaround. Once, we know that the indictment has been done, then we will start the reward process. And
Sheriff, how do the two of you work together as far as partnering?
So Crime Solvers is a vital part of what we do dealing with our warrants. Currently, right now, we were around, I want to say high 23,000, low 24,000 warrants. Majority of those are failure to appear related warrants, traffic related. Crime Solvers helps us not with those smaller warrants. They do give information,
Yes.
but it is the information that we need for those criminals that, one, are unable to be found, but are dealing with felonies. We're looking for the violent offenders. They have done a wonderful job in providing us tips and in helping us actually locate violent offenders, whether that be here or either in other states. One thing with their tips, they get them in constantly. They then provide that information to the sheriff's office. Our investigators then take that tip, and then they actually go out or they coordinate with other agencies to then apprehend those violent offenders. And when I tell you, even when I was an assistant sheriff or lieutenant colonel, Crime Solvers has done a wonderful job, because many people may not know the sheriff's office, our warrant division, is not a very large division. We need as much help as possible. And Crime Solvers has always been there for us. They've always provided those tips. They've always worked with us, because their interactions with our citizens, putting them at ease, taking that information, providing that information to us, because people may feel hesitant in actually speaking with us, is vital and very important.
So, Zell, someone calls you up. They don't have to give their name?
No.
How do you find out if they're going to get the money part? How does that work then?
The whole process is done with a tip ID number. And so when a person calls and they give the information about an individual, maybe where they're located or something like that, they're assigned an ID number. The information goes over to the sheriff's department office. They'll investigate it. If an arrest is made, they'll notify us, and then that person retains that ID number through the whole process. If a reward is issued, they will use that ID number to go pick up their rewards. And so we don't know. And sometimes people will contact Crime Solvers and they'll want to give their name. I'm like, no, I don't want to know your name. It's an anonymous process. Okay. And there are 3 methods for a person to contact Crime Solvers. There is an anonymous tip line. And when I'm not in the office, we do have an answering service. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, bilingual, and so a person can call the tip line and get the information, and then that call center will send me the information, and we'll start the process. And then there's also our online process, which is through the pgcrimesolvers.com website. Go on there, and it'll say submit a tip, and a form will come up. Person can put in whatever information they have about an individual, and that process also allows an individual to post photos, social media content, text messages, or videos that they've taken themselves. Loaded to that process, and it comes in with the information as well. And then there's also a mobile app. We utilize the P3 Tips app. Person downloads it to their phone, and then the same process. They can send information, photos, videos, and stuff like that. And all law enforcement, they love having photos and videos, and they know exactly who they're looking for. If they don't know the person's name of someone that they may be looking for, they do have their social media. They can follow up looking for the person through their social media content, their handle and stuff like that. All of that reduces manpower hours needed to look for someone to arrest them. So very beneficial to both sides. And then again, in the end, ultimately, if a person is entitled to a reward, the same method that they contacted Crime Solvers, tip line, mobile app, online process, I can communicate with them anonymously. It's encrypted, no IP address, there's no recorded lines or anything like that. So they can feel comfortable sending information, communicating, and sometimes a detective will have a question, and I can send the question to the person, and to get additional information to help with their case. And then, again, if it ends in results in apprehension, then we will begin the reward process, and they'll use that same tip number to go collect their cash reward.
So I think, Crime Solvers is an amazing organization in what they do. But that the rumor or the saying that certain people get stitches. So people are still calling up, though, even knowing that they still call.
Yes. And when you look at that saying, when they talk about somebody reporting, or for lack of a better term, that's snitches, this is not it. This is somebody who, again, you're part of our community, and if you know somebody has committed a crime or that they're out there committing more crimes, why would you not want that individual taken away or out of your community? This is not about you just turning your back on an individual. You're more worried about the community. You're more worried about what that individual has alleged to have done and what possibly could happen with this individual being out there. So when we look at these tip lines and when we look at getting this information, this is just a way of informing and assisting and making sure that the community is safe. Because a lot of these, especially with the cases that you're dealing with, Crime Solvers, we're talking about violent offenders. We're talking about homicides. We're talking about serious offenders. People have been hurt or either killed. And this is something to where we want our citizens to be a part of and to understand that it goes both ways, that we're partners in this. We want to make sure that you are safe as possible, but we need your help. We need your assistance. And having this type of resource here is so important. And I said it was vital, but it is so important because, one, it's that interaction that you feel that you don't have to be coming into the sheriff's office and trying to provide information or going directly to the police department and saying, hey, I want to tell you about John Carr. This is something to where you can actually do from the comforts of your home, knowing and seeing this information, provide that information, and allow us to do our jobs. Allow us to make sure that you are safe. Allow us to provide that additional security blanket over our communities and make sure that we get those violent offenders off the street.
Now, when I hear up to 20,000 or 15,000, how does that work? So
there are a board of directors, and they meet once a month.
Okay.
And any cases that have resulted in a case closure, an arrest, an indictment, I will present those cases to them. They are a separate entity. They are citizens and business owners from Prince George's County that make up the board of directors. And they will review the cases, and they will vote and discuss and determine the appropriate reward amount for each case. Often, and when it comes to the money, the rewards are offered. But there are a lot of people that don't want the money. They just want the activity removed from their community. And that's just not with Prince George's County Crime Solvers, Charles County Crime Solvers, or any other ones local in this area. People just want the activity out of their community, and that's reward enough for them.
That's pretty special. That's pretty special. Do either one of you have a story where Crime Solvers are working together that, thanks to people caring enough about their community, you were able to close a case? Anything come to mind in your years of service? Or just one thing that pops up.
There are a lot, and I'll be brief in the one that I have. I know, actually working in our Bureau of Field Operations in our warrant section, we do a lot of initiatives or warrant sweeps is what we would actually say. And Crime Solvers has helped us actually locate individuals so that we could attempt some of those addresses during those sweeps. I mean, we have several dealing with domestic violence, several dealing with violent offenders. We do throughout the year, but Crime Solvers, those tips allowed us to continue and look for that individual and locate individuals that we never would have known or never would have known that this individual was even back in the area unless we got those tips. And when I say we get the best tips, we do get the best tips for those violent offenders. And a lot of our violent offender cases have been closed because of Crime Solvers.
Well, yeah, and some of the cases that come to mind to answer your question are like when you have a series of maybe commercial robberies, like a convenience store or something like that. Sometimes the suspects tend to wear the same clothing, and so we will, post the surveillance photos, requesting the identity, and everyone is like, that's such and such, that's such and such. And so, send the information over to the detectives. They'll look into it, follow up, and, it's interesting that, they would wear the same clothing to do all their robberies.
Yeah.
I tell you, a lot for crime does not pay. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. So what are you working on now?
Right now, we're going to start working on an initiative with the Office of the Sheriff on Wanted Wednesday.
Wanted Wednesday, that's a big one.
Starting a new push for the most wanted individuals. We're going to start pushing that information out, posting it on websites, social media, and providing methods for people to provide information about these individuals, where they're located, where they can find them, and stuff like that. And then again, they have 3 methods available. You have the anonymous tip line, you have the online web process, and the mobile app. The information will go over to the Office of the Sheriff for any of those cases. If the individual, if the information leads to an arrest and indictment in the case, the person would be eligible for a cash reward.
And so, Sheriff, we're going to start doing our Wanted Wednesdays again. So getting the names, 23,000 warrants that are out, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, so as we give a breakdown of those warrants, I want to say around 11 or 12,000 of those are failure to appear traffic-related offenses.
Okay.
And I think that's when we start looking at some of these scams that people are doing. You're preying on the fact that, hey, you do have a large amount of people who may not have gone to court, and that's easy. I would say our second biggest category is going to be dealing with second-degree assaults and dealing with something for domestic violence. And that's around, I'm going to say 1,200 to 1,300. So as we start to see, it's not a lot of violent offenders as far as the warrants that we presently have in our possession. A lot of it is failure to appear traffic-related offenses. But those Wanted Wednesdays are really focusing on those violent offenders or dealing with those crimes that impact a victim or impact our community. And that's something that we definitely want to make sure that we're able to push. Crime Solvers has also been instrumental in helping us a lot of times with our cold cases, as we would like to say. Cases that you think that an individual is gone or we are unable to locate or we hit rock bottom as far as, hey, we've exhausted all resources. Crime Solvers has done a wonderful job in actually providing tips to then reunite or reignite those cases and make sure that we're able to apprehend those individuals. So it works so many levels.
Well, Crime Solvers, I've learned a lot. Hopefully our viewers have learned a lot too. I just want to thank you as our special guest, Zell Windsor with Crime Solvers with the Prince George's County Police Department. Of course, our very own Sheriff John D.B. Carr. Now, if you have a topic or if your organization would like to come on our podcast, simply email me at shf-pio@co.md.pg.us. All right, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms and IG at PG Sheriff's Office and on Facebook at Prince George's Office of the Sheriff. Until next time, stay safe and informed.